what you're seeing here on this video is the land actually that's in question. And this was early, this was the day that the demolition happened. So you still see some structures that are standing, but the video will continue to show them knocking down the buildings.
It became very clear right away that the story that they trumped up in the very beginning wasn't solid at all. So we've been in negotiations for almost the last 9 months.
Greetings, family. Greetings, good people. A shout out to my brother, Go Black Africa, and Atur Ben Or, based out in Ghana. Really disturbing that the black family that is trying to return home to Africa is facing these kinds of challenges. So let's listen to the engagement between Brother Atur here and Go Black. I think it is so vital that we share this message, spread the word, because the damage that this is likely to cause, the fear that this is likely to inflict on those who are trying to have an engagement with the continent is real. So that said, if you haven't subscribed, you know the deal. Subscribe, like, it helps us do a lot more with the channel. It helps generate the traffic so that we are able to reach as many more as we would like. Let's get to it and let's have a discussion that is candid on this matter.
Peace and blessings to each and every one of you all as you all come in. I have a great report, I guess, if you will, or a great update, or maybe not so great, if we will. But we have our dear brother here, Atur Ben Or, who is affiliated with the Hebrew Israelites there in Dimona, Israel. And he is one of the part of the leadership there, but it's stationed here in Ghana. And is going to give us an update to what a video that I did and others have done when Ghana demolished their community, their buildings that was on land and was rightfully theirs to lease. And so it was a big stink. It wound up in court, and many people are wondering what has transpired since then. So they are wanting to go and just share what has all been with where they're at this point right now today. And so without further ado, my brother, welcome here to Go Black to Africa platform.
As you mentioned, my name is Atur Ben Or, and I'm stationed here in Ghana, West Africa, Cape Coast to be specific. And I've been here since 2009. And I came at the request of our anointed spiritual leader, Ben Ami, who had asked me to come and to work and serve in our institutions there, our redemptive institutions that he had established for us there, working with the Ghana Ministry of Health and with the idea of bringing alternative health services in the form of preventive health care, regenerative health and nutrition, as well as to just teach people about healthy lifestyle there in Ghana. So I came in 2009 at that request, and I've been here since then.
Well, you know, many people, like I said just a few moments ago, have really taken on an interest of this land. Let me get the naysayers, the haters, and the gossipers out the way. When it came to the allegations that the land that you are on, you did not fulfill obligations, and Ghana had the right to do what they did. Can you give some clarification on that for us, brothers, please? Because and family, I'm going to show the video here of what actually had transpired during this demolition of their property. But brother, please share with people about the legality part of the land and where did y'all stand?
Sure. One of the things that is a matter that's affecting and impacting the fact that we haven't been able to speak to this a little bit more over the last 12 months is because we were approached by the government to join in and participate in a specially formed committee that was headed up by the regional minister, as well as representatives from the government, such as the Ghana Tourism Authority CEO, who was reporting directly to the Minister of Tourism, and other officials, such as Lands Commission officials, and all of them, so that they could investigate and get to the bottom of it. And in committing to that, that took place towards the latter part of the third month last year. We engaged to participate in those hearings, so we could present the facts in those hearings before the committee. And while we were there in the committee, it became very clear right away that the story that they trumped up in the very beginning wasn't solid at all. So we've been in negotiations for almost the last 9 months, and they keep the activity of comments and all of that down. They didn't want us talking much about the case because it was stirring up a lot of emotions amongst our brothers and sisters throughout the diaspora. So we committed to that. And there were some other agreements that were supposed to be made within that committee by all parties, such as, you know, to refrain from any further developments on the property until the matter was sorted out.
What you're seeing here on this video is the land actually that's in question. And this was early, this was the day that the demolition happened. So you still see some structures that are standing, but the video will continue to show them knocking down the buildings.
Continuing, yeah, it became very clear early on that they really didn't have a solid leg to stand on, that it was a lot of inconsistencies in what they were saying. And so from there, we were assured that they wanted to see how best that they could resolve the matter. Just so happens that, you know, we also, in good faith, decided not to file it in court, you know, on the word that they were going to make things right in terms of settlement. And, you know, the settlement consisting of an alternative piece of land and compensation for what we had lost. So we've been in full consideration of all of that over the last 12 months. However, due to the fact that legally there's a statute of limitations, we had to go ahead and file it in court because up to this point, it still hasn't quite been fully resolved, even though the intent is still there, apparently from the government. They're saying that they still want to resolve the matter. So even though it's filed, our lawyer's been saying that the judge will allow there's still the opportunity for a resolution to be agreed to by the parties. But we have had to go ahead and take the action to move it into the legal court phase. Our first major hearing is tomorrow. So that's really the update.
So we'll pause there, but I think there's been the tendency to specifically say that African Americans are targeted when they try to travel to Africa to invest in the continent, on the continent. And I'm not sure it's a very accurate statement, and this is why. Being an African myself, born and raised, and having spent life in a number of cities, especially Nairobi, I'm alive to some of the challenges that exist when it comes to owning property. And for sure, at a very personal level, I have been a victim. I've been a victim. Much as these countries are all different, there's 54, about 55 of us on the continent of Africa. The one thing that you will find that is a common thread is the fact that citizens of these nation states of Africa actually are by far victimized a lot more than you'd actually know, a lot more than you'd imagine. So when you're beginning to feel the pressure, I can guarantee you 300% the average citizen in these nations have gone through a similar circumstance, have gone through a similar difficulty, perhaps in a worse situation. And the thing that we need to look at broadly is that statecraft in Africa is a big problem, and even bigger for the citizens within these nation states. That they can be violated by the very government they've put in place. They can be disenfranchised. They'll be denied basic things like healthcare, access to good roads, good education, a robust economy for the reason that those who are in charge are essentially working with the center west, them folks, to impoverish Africa, to steal from Africa, to hive for themselves resources that are plentiful within the continent, yet you always hear the story that Africa is poor. Africa is not poor. Africa is so rich. Africa is rich in natural resources. Africa is well blessed with great weather that the average African does not have to live in a concrete jungle, you forgive my pun, such as in the West, where because you have to have a certain kind of heating system, then people are crowded into these blocks of apartments. That is not the case here. You can live out in the wild, you can live out in rural Africa, in a grass-thatched house, in a Masai Manyata, and still survive and eke out a living from that same environment. But challenges exist because of statecraft, the political systems, and the elite of Africa, sadly, are the worst kind of elite in society. They inherited a system that was used by the colonizers, that they are gone 5-6 decades ago. But Africa still suffers the same problems. So when it comes to owning property, you have really got to be careful that you do your due diligence. Number one, never send money to many of these places until you touch ground, see the lay of the land, build networks, build connections, get legitimate organizations that deal with these issues, anything that you'd like to invest in. What is the process? Who is in charge? What are the case studies? If I'm dealing with an organization, what is the history of this organization? Are there success stories that you can actually plug into to see how well certain processes are supposed to be executed? This, my brothers and sisters, is so crucial. Otherwise, you risk losing a lot of bread, a lot of money trying to invest, trying to reconnect with the continent, and yet get so let down. But I can guarantee, when you feel let down, the average citizen has been let down 10 times. So this is not just a money grab. It is not just that African Americans are targeted. The systems that we have in many countries have failed their own citizens. You are just collateral damage in that process. Sadly, I hate to put it like that, but that is a reality. That is the truth as it presents itself in many countries. Are there success stories? Yes, there are success stories. But it is based on those simple things that I've advised you to go about. Travel to Africa, perhaps as a tourist. Do your research. Visit 4-5 times. Take 2-3 years before you make that move to finally put your hard-earned money into a parcel of land, into a business that you hope can grow and help you have a presence on the continent of Africa. It is crucial that for a good number of us now creating content via online, this indeed helps us put bread on the table. But where does it come from? It must come from a passion to share with you, to want the best for you. Some of us have been aware of the slave trade and the trauma that our brothers and sisters have gone through ever since we were kids. I remember watching Roots and connecting with the character Kunta Kinte as young as 7, when I was about 7 years old. That has never left me. One of my favorite African American YouTubers on the continent today, matter of fact, in Kenya, is the residential tourist whose journey I followed all the way from Atlanta, finding their way to Rwanda, then to Kenya. And I think they are building something beautiful. They're building networks. They are now engaging with African Americans, blacks from the UK, from the Caribbean, to help you guys connect and get a softer landing as you get here. Because finding somebody who's gone through that journey, who has a background such as yourself, goes a long way in helping you connect a lot better, a lot faster, but most importantly, efficiently, so that the stories of scams that we hear are lessened. And for sure, scammers are not just abound in Africa. You will get scams in the US, in Europe. They are just different in nature. But human beings are human beings. If they can rip you off, they'll go for it. You know, the same way you'll find pickpockets in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, in London, in the tubes, in Nairobi, in Accra, in Ethiopia. These are things that are part of human life, that you will experience certain negativity that might really, really disappoint you. But do not be disappointed. Do your homework. Build that network. Ensure that you protect yourselves from some of these big scams by just doing what you have to do that is essential, the basic, the bare minimum. If this resonates with you and you know anybody who's out there who would want to travel to Africa, to Nairobi, to Pretoria, wherever, Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, share this word with them, share this message, because information is power. And we would like all of you to be empowered to travel, to invest. Africa is the place to be. Despite these challenges that exist, we must say that there is truth in the reality that there is a fear that Africa will just finally arise, emerge, and become a power at the table with the rest. If Britain, once a superpower, was vanquished at the end of the Second World War, and we saw the rise of China, and eventually America, the US, becoming the main superpower post the Cold War, then I can assure you that anything is possible. It might not happen now, but the hard work will have to be done by African diaspora to realize some of these dreams. Our biggest challenge is that Africa is so fragmented that we are unable to sing in concert, to put things together as a nation, the nation of Africa. It does not mean that we quit on it. It just means that there'll be a lot more hard work that we'll have to go into this for that seed to germinate. So the naysayers will exist. Those who will give up will exist, but those who are putting in the work, and I especially applaud the brothers and sisters who are coming from all over the world and taking that bold step to have a presence in Africa, building industry, building schools, or just relocating altogether, or traveling back and forth and engaging. I think in another 50 to 100 years, our great-grandchildren are the ones who will benefit from that. So to this extent, I want to give a special shout out to all the other guys who are making the effort to have a presence in Africa, despite the stories that are out there. I did a story on Gambia, and there was a lot of backlash, and guys were speaking as if, we're hating on Gambia. No. Like in many communities, the Zulu, for example, we speak about hands washing each other. It is our business as brothers and sisters to speak to the challenges that exist, that manifest on the continent, so that we can get our systems working better. we can engage better, not bury our heads in the sand and pretend that there's nothing going on. There are real problems here, but there are also real triumphs. There are many success stories. We want plenty more of those success stories. The recent elections in Senegal gives me so much hope. I hope they give you so much hope. The election of President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, now president, and Ousmane Sonko, the prime minister. And shout out to the two gentlemen, man. What a story. This is what Africa needs. And the fact that you are that young, that youthful, 40s and just about 50, that gives hope, because you are able then to bridge the gap between, you know, our grandfathers. Some of them who are 70, 80 who are still insisting they must show up to an election and run a country. But the strong age is gone. Be on the sidelines, provide guidance, provide wisdom, because not all of our old folk are wise. Some of them are just nothing but crooks who have run Africa to the ground and who are helping create the systems that are now making this mess in terms of property, movement, visa applications, and all manner of things. These are the things that the young of Africa need to sort. So shout out to the president of Senegal, the prime minister, and the people of Senegal. We are proud. We are very proud, because you have set a standard that majority of Africa now must emulate, must rise up to. Only one country in Africa with the youngest black president in the world today. But that is all it takes. One man to be able to engage an entire village, an entire country, and the continent of Africa. Mighty excited. Please subscribe, like, and share. We've got to move forward as a people. I want to say many thanks for watching this far. Afrocentric is who we are. God bless you. I'm out.